And we are back. G-Mac and Winnie coming at you with another edition of the Outlaw Blitz podcast. Big fella, let's get dangerous.
So much has happened since the last time we recorded.
Yeah, you went to Mecca, and
I did. How long has it been since we've been here? It feels like a month.
It feels that way, but it really has only been like a week and a half.
Right? Yeah. It feels so, because so much has gone on.
Yeah.
How's it going, bud? How's everything?
It is going not bad. I mean, you got a lot to talk about. I'm doing all right, man.
Good.
A lot of baseball.
Now listen, you booked a trip.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
It's huge.
Pretty time consuming. It's the whole month of July, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leaving when?
Well, from July 5th, the rest of the month.
And returning to the U.S. when?
The last day or something in July.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Psyched?
Excited. Today I booked my hotel in Ireland for 4 days.
Okay.
Which is cool. So we kind of just picked a spot in the middle of Ireland and said, okay, it's an hour from Dublin, it's an hour and a half from Cork, it's an hour and a half from Donegal, it's an hour and a half from Gal. You know, like you just kind of picked like, right. Oh, it's 3 hours from here, it's an hour and a half from there. So I figure that's probably the easiest way and have a home base and just come back in and out of it.
Nice.
You know I'm going to Conor McGregor's gym.
That's awesome.
I don't care. I'm going.
Is it a chain hotel, or no local joint?
Yeah, and I looked at one called Summers Grove, which was really nice, and it was a decent price. But the problem over there is, it's like 3 twin beds, and I'm like, Summer's like, it's okay. I'm like, Summer, twin bed. That's like a single bed here.
That's when you turn over and fucking hit the floor.
Yeah, I said, nah, we just can't. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, and it's a short trip, and like I said, we're going to base out at a hotel, and if we find a nice town, we're going to go down, just have some dinner, have some drinks, enjoy live music, just enjoy. I think one day we'll probably take and really ride around the countryside and enjoy it, but
now that's just one leg of the trip, though.
That's only one small portion.
Yeah. And you're going to be in England, obviously.
Like I'm going to get into England, into London, and then up by her for a day or two. Then we're going to fly back. We're going to go to London and back over to Ireland for 4 days. Then we're going to come back and kind of enjoy England for a little bit.
Yep.
And then when my mom goes home, her and I are either going to Scotland or Rome first. I don't know.
I'm pushing for Rome.
But you know what I mean? But if we're going to the airport anyway, we might as well get on a plane and go somewhere.
Right.
And they're quick. It's only $100-something bucks. And then for a couple days here or there. And then
cool.
The Scotland thing's a little bit different. It's about 7 hours. She's like, Dad, it's like 7 hours away. I said, Summer, I'm here for the month.
Is that kind of a flight? It's a 7-hour flight?
No. Like a drive or a train ride. And I'm like, Summer, I don't care. I don't care if we drive 3 hours, hang out in a town, go another 3 hours the next day and get there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then take a day or two up there and then come back. Like, I have the time. It's not.
It's all stuff you haven't seen.
It's just, And, you know, she's big Harry Potter and stuff like that. She's like, you can only get a ticket on this one day or else it's not until for like 3 years. It's like booked till next year.
Damn.
And I'm like, then we go that one day. Who cares?
Right.
So, yeah, I'm excited. It's all kind of falling into place now.
Good.
I got my TSA pre-check done.
How was it?
Yeah, once you got in there, it was fine. They'd like triple book people on the same time frame.
Yeah, that's pain in the dick.
Instead of like 10:30, 10:40, 10:50, 10:30, 10:30, 10:40, 10:40, 10:40, 10:50.
Right.
And you're like, what are we doing here?
On the other side of travel, that Clear app, complete waste of time.
Yeah.
LaGuardia didn't accept it, so
of course.
So that meant nothing.
Yeah.
So I made sure I canceled, so I'm getting charged $189 fucking dollars for no reason.
Well, like I said, for $78 for the next 5 years,
you're good.
I'm good. And the amount of travel I'll probably do.
I'm shocked. I gotta ask Concletus. I'm surprised they haven't done it yet because they fly probably 10 times a year.
Yeah, I mean, take the half hour out of your day to the amount of times you're going to save.
Right. I get it though. If looking at the airports they fly in and out of, it's Myrtle and Stewart or Myrtle and Albany.
Yeah, but that one time you're running late and you can't wait online 40 people
and
long.
getting jammed in Newark. That could be like the one fuck up. So, no, I get it, and they should.
It makes sense. Yep, it makes a lot of sense. So, a lot of baseball recently. A lot. Yeah. Like sitting in the stands, watching a lot of baseball. We played an 18U team the other day. Dudes had full beards,
Great.
and we hung with them.
Okay.
Hung with them, but more though often more so. I'm not taking anything away from their team. We just didn't have the pitching. We walked too many people, and
Right.
then a hit here or there, and all of a sudden you're like, a game you should have probably won, you end up losing.
And this is what, 16U?
16U, which almost every kid on there is 15.
Right. So you got to. I'm assuming their best pitcher maybe tops out in the mid 70s.
Yeah, ours. Others are throwing like
saying.
Yeah.
Now they're facing 18s who are probably getting it up there a little bit.
Well, that's the thing. We kind of lack the.
Right, we're throwing BP.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah, I mean, our pitchers are okay, but they were good for 3, and then the 4th inning he probably shouldn't have came back out for that.
Right.
And he couldn't find the zone, and I mean anywhere.
Yeah. And
it wasn't like he was just missing outside.
Yeah.
He was outside, he was up, he was down, he was in. So
it's funny thinking along those lines of like the slower pitcher. The eephus pitch that gets thrown in baseball all the time. Like it's hysterical. It has like batters have like an 11% success rate on it because it's so slow compared to what they're used to seeing. That if you drop it in 5 times a game, like Zach Greinke does now, it's effective. But yeah, you can time a 70-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right.
Where do you stand on these kids throwing breaking stuff so young?
I mean, I threw it at 15, so
that's your elbow. Tommy John.
There it is. Yeah, I mean, I didn't throw it right though.
Right.
I threw the 2-finger, really snapped it 12-6.
Right.
Instead of, where you turn the ball in your hand and you use the seams and you still throw it over the top.
Right.
I think if I would have thrown it over the top all that time, I wouldn't have had the elbow problem that I had.
True.
Because, I mean, I was coming, it was like you were seeing the whole side of my hand and I was coming over the top.
It's a violent movement.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, I knew when I was throwing it like that, my arm felt not great.
Yeah. It's amazing now when you watch this guy I don't even know what team it was that night, the sweeper, had 22 inches of lateral movement. Like, where the fuck?
How do you hit that when it's at 90?
Where did this pitch come from,
right.
Number one? And, how do you even get ready for that?
Well, it's got to come from something like you talked about a couple episodes ago, where the dot's on the ball and if it moves a certain way.
Some scientists figured out that rotation and yada yada. But
I'm sorry, but I think, me personally, and I don't mean to go on a sports tangent, but I think science and analytics ruin sports in general. When the fuck, like even coaches that in football, they coach their first 15 plays are scripted.
Right.
What if you get blown up for 15 plays?
We've talked about that.
Now you're three possessions behind.
Yeah.
And this team's just running the ball down.
We always have one play we came out of the gate with playing.
Right.
And you went off of that, but it was knock the fucking rust or jitters out and let's go from there. How do you play? If you're getting your dick kicked in every single play, you're not going to deviate.
Right. I get it. I get it where you go, okay, we're going to try to establish the edge. Okay, the edge is not there.
Right.
Okay, second play, we're going to see what's in the middle. Okay, the middle's not there. We're going to try to throw a quick pass. Oh, the pass is not there. All right, now you punt it.
Right.
All right, now you got to go back to your sheet again, and now you're still in the same script.
Yeah, you haven't done
anything
what I mean?
Yet. And I'm saying that for like baseball too. And so,
right.
When do you like when the team's got the rangefinder out there and they're painting spots out in the outfield?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because Highland Winnie, 90% of the time, hits the ball at exactly 232 feet.
Right.
17 feet off the foul line. Like, come on, man. Just play the fucking game.
Yeah.
Why happen to just shade this way? He's a pull hitter.
Yeah, exactly. When's the last time you saw a major league player drop down a drag bunt?
Right. I'm just saying, just in general, like
you're right. It ruins it. It takes the, I don't know, it takes the speculation out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's what it was all about.
So that was my side of the table. Your side of the table, you did a little something.
Yeah, not much. It was all right.
Oh, wait. Let me do it before you do that. Before you do that, you brought me something from there.
I did.
And I have not looked at this.
At all?
No, I haven't. And I'm going to take it out of the bag right now. whatever it is. Oh, nice. A Redbirds hat.
Yes.
So it's so everybody can see. We'll give a little plug to the Memphis Redbirds. That's a cool hat, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, obviously, I knew it was a hat, but I didn't know what hat it was.
That cool wick material or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Nice, man.
So
nice.
It was
yeah, cool.
Awesome stadium, dude. For a minor league complex.
You enjoyed it.
Oh, it was beautiful. The stadium itself was gorgeous.
How was the food? At that stadium.
Food was knockout. I mean, it was
Well, say where you went. You went to Memphis, to the
Redbirds. To the Redbirds, to see Redbirds and Durham Bulls. We had tickets that included a buffet and unlimited beer, wine, soda.
Yep.
We sat on it. It was crazy. If I say the stadium was a fifth full, that was a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
And AAA.
AAA.
Which is...
And the huge stadium in downtown Memphis. It takes up a whole city block. It's awesome. So we sat inside for a while, first in the AC, a nice little high top bar area. Ate some food there. It was pulled pork, nachos, barbecued pork chops, hot dogs, which sucked. Don't know why hot dogs sucked so bad. They were terrible.
Because they got great fucking barbecue.
I think so. Spinach casserole, mashed taters, a few other things, fresh baked cookies. The food was good. I didn't eat much. I had a little pulled pork and some of the spinach casserole because we had gone we split an appetizer, but I was stuffed. And Jimmy can fucking eat. That man can put it away.
Sure can.
So he had no problems destroying probably 2/3 of the appetizer and a big plate of Q from there. So then we moved outside, sat at our actual seats that we bought, which were awesome. It was a little high top, like a half moon table with 4 seats. We only had 2 of them. The other 2 weren't sold. Sat there and dude came down, took our drink order, came back, delivered to the table. Came around later with ice cream sandwiches.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, it was a great game. We ended up staying. It was an early. Durham jumped out up early, like 8-1, and it was 8-5 going into the 8th, so we stayed.
Yeah.
And waited maybe 6 minutes for an Uber or a Lyft to get back to the hotel. And got some good sleep that night.
Didn't get shot?
At all. I had 1 beer.
No, didn't get shot.
Oh, not that night.
Okay.
Almost the next night.
Okay.
So, slept like a fucking rock because I slept like such shit.
The night before, anxious about the trip?
Yeah, excitement. So, we've been up since friggin' 5:30. By the time we laid down, it was midnight. We had to be up by 7 to be ready for the shuttle at 8:30.
Yeah.
That took us to Mecca, a.k.a. Graceland. And
so just rolling up.
Yeah, rolling up, it's funny. I would compare it to, for people around here, our area could visualize, like a Route 9 at Poughkeepsie.
Okay.
4-lane highway, that was Presley Boulevard, 4-lane highway. Little businesses, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. A lot of defunct stuff because the whole complex took over what used to be little shops and little trinket stores along the way. Then you see the guest house at Graceland, which is a giant fucking hotel. Beautiful, beautiful hotel. And then you see a bunch of woods. And then you see the gate.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was kind of blocked driving up because they were doing construction. So there was like a fucking payloader and a bulldozer on that side of the road. Turn into the complex.
But what happens as you turn into that complex for you?
Oh, I'm getting like butterflies. I'm like looking out the window trying to see what I could see of Graceland, the gate, on the front gates itself. So we get inside, we get dropped off, and you go in. Huge thing overhead. Welcome to Graceland. Big TCB.
Move the mic.
Big TCB. And you go up
with the lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there's music playing 24/7. Constant Elvis all the time. So it is cool. You get into the middle of it, and it's set up in a big circle with all the different museums and stores and restaurants that are there. And it's a big record in the middle.
Yeah. You don't have to go into it all on our show because you have your own show that's going to talk all about this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cut you off on that. I'm just saying, like, I know you have a show that you're going to do and describe in detail.
Oh, yeah.
Overall, what did it do for you as your emotions, your brain, your being? What did it do for you?
I wrote something on Facebook that night that there was a section of my heart dedicated to that part of my life, Elvis and the music, and that totally just fucking filled it, man. I mean, no way to describe it.
Your cup is full now.
My cup is full. My cup runneth over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like when it's always been there, and now we're late 40s.
Yeah.
It's always been there, and now all of a sudden you had the opportunity.
Yeah.
And now you're there.
I say awestruck, but the cool thing of walking through the front door for the first time, and you're like, wow, I'm here.
You could feel it?
Oh my God, absolutely. You can definitely feel it. And then maybe even the cooler part after going through the house and whatnot is we go through the tour and you end up coming back up through the stairs and past the jungle room and out the back door.
Yeah. And
now you're in the backyard. And the backyard around the house is a good sized backyard, but it's still a working stable.
Right.
There are horses. So there's a fence that's probably 50 yards from the house, and beyond that is probably 200 or 300 yards of acreage of where the horses are. But on the property next to the house, there are a couple of benches. So we just sat, man.
Just sat.
It's not like a half hour. It's just like I'm in Elvis's backyard.
Right.
Just taking it all in.
Cool.
And it was awesome. The crazy part is I'm sitting there and I'm looking around, and of course you've got the whole backyard is the acreage for the stable, so you see that. But you look over to the far side where the fence line runs, and right on the other side of the fence is a neighborhood. So somebody, probably 10 somebodies,
backyard
own the houses where their backyard is Graceland. It's fucking wild.
You got to figure that property value's got to be. It might not be as high because you don't want people walking in your backyard every day.
Right. And that part around Graceland is good. It's when you get probably a mile or so out is when it starts to look a little more run down.
And then you got gunshots rang out like a bell.
Yeah,
Grabbed your 9, all you heard was shells falling.
So the Uber driver tells us that the restaurant next to our hotel, while it has good food, is always packed and jumping. And we were the only 2 Caucasians in the place. And we came back from the first night and it was packed. The second night it was even more packed because it was Saturday. We get back to the room after having dinner. We're watching, Jimmy had reels on the entire weekend. So we're watching Cops all weekend long. Kind of laughing, but that's Jimmy.
Yeah.
And then you hear pop, 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 pop. I was like, oh shit, was that 6 gunshots? So he's like, no way. So we wait like a minute or two. Then you look out, we pull the curtains aside and 3 Memphis PD cars out in the parking lot sorting it out. So,
Jesus Christ, bro.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely some sketchy areas. They say we did go to Beale because all of our Uber drivers and Lyft drivers said Friday night, Saturday night, not a place to be.
Do not go there.
Looking for problems if you go.
Yeah.
20,000 people with a gang presence and a lot of drunks because it's on the street drinking.
Yeah.
So we decided to forego that, but it was fine.
Good, man.
It was fine.
I'm just glad you got down there. You got to see it. You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You got a little, when you get there and you kind of get a little bit of the local culture and the food and the whatnot, you got it. Yeah.
It was cool. And
you took it in. So
a bunch of people were like, would you go back? Yep, I would go back in December.
You would go back to Graceland, not necessarily all the other stuff.
I think maybe in December on a midday to go down to Beale Street for lunch would be good.
Yeah.
It's not
on
the
a
summer.
Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not the summer. It's not the humidity is a whole different level down there.
Yep.
But I would love to see the mansion decorated.
Cool.
For Christmas. So,
cool. Nice.
It was good.
All right, let's move into first segmento. This week's top 5. The top 5 moments that changed your view of the world. Now, obviously, not that this was a moment, but it could have been a moment for you.
Right.
It's just one of those things. Like, what you get to our age and you start thinking a little bit. You're never going to be 20 again.
Right.
But you're not. At the twilight of your. You're not on the back nine.
You hope not.
Right. You hope you're not at the end of your run either. So,
right.
These are the things that change your view of the world, your personal view of the world.
And I'll start with my number 5. Was a very not so big one to a lot of people, but it actually sparked me deciding to do this. Was the death of Lisa Marie this year.
Okay.
She passed away January 12th, and the day she died, I told you, I'm going this year.
Yeah.
And I did. Because it showed you that life is way too short. You never know. You're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Right. Who would have thought his ex-wife would outlive his daughter?
Right. And you look at it, like a tragic family line of the grandmother outlived her son and her grandson, being Vernon and Elvis. The daughters outlived the mother.
Yep.
It's sad. It's sad. You never know.
Yeah.
So that was my number 5.
My number 5 was the Challenger explosion, January 28th, 1986.
Damn.
Why, is it on your list?
No, that's a very good one.
We were 10 years old.
I remember
and,
it was
and it's
yesterday.
like, and the big thing for that was NASA was going back to the moon, or I don't know if it was the moon or just in space in general. But the thing that was that drew me in was there was a school teacher going on, and it wasn't. Her name was Krista McAuliffe. Yeah, it's spelled kind of
McAuliffe. Yeah.
And everybody, that was like a big thing. And Gen Xers watched a fucking shuttle explode on national television.
I was in Mr. Saunders' class in 5th grade.
And they'd wheel that TV in,
yeah.
and you're watching it because this was a big moment. It wasn't just an astronaut going; a school teacher was going, and boom, it goes up 73 seconds. It made it, and then it exploded.
I can tell you, I remember specifically, both of my parents being home that night and not sleeping well, like very unsettling. That it was at that age to see something like that happen. Yeah,
and that's it. It would kind of put in perspective at a young, like when you're young, you don't think about those things,
right?
And then you definitely don't. You think like maybe a grandparent who's old, or somebody, some kind of, you don't think like a school teacher,
right?
And then that happened, and you're like, wow. And it happened on TV right in your face. It
Yeah,
wasn't like you heard about it, like you watched it.
Yep.
And it just, at an age, it was like one of those things. I don't know why, but it left an imprint on my brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Most definitely. My number 4, it was October 19th, 1987, Black Monday, stock market crash. The Dow dropped 22.6%, and people lost $1.71 trillion.
And why'd that affect you?
It stuck out to me because watching the news that night, there were talks of, and repeated talks of, people jumping out of buildings in New York City because they lost everything.
Well, because their stuff wasn't, what do they say? It wasn't
FDIC insured.
No, I know, but it's oh man, what's the term? When you have it and it's in your hand, it's different than when it's all, you're worth $1 billion, but it's all
liquid.
Liquid, yeah. It wasn't liquid.
It wasn't liquid.
Right.
It was gone.
Right.
So, yeah, just we were 11. But thinking as an 11-year-old, like, seeing it now is a whole different ballgame. But you're like, man, people, they lost so much money that they decided to end their lives.
They just jumped out of a building.
All over New York City. It was multiple accounts. It was crazy. And then it took a while for the economy to come back up. I was a weirdo in junior high. I would wake up and watch NBC News in the morning.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Love Deborah Norville. And my cue to get in the shower was when sports came on with Don Criqui.
Okay.
But I remember watching that, and I was like, holy
cow.
A
lot of people don't understand. Highland was raised kind of by grandparents.
Yeah, in a way.
You know what I mean? Like, You would go there after school. They'd watch you because your dad would be working or your mom would be working.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you had a big influence of your grandparents who were elderly.
Oh, absolutely. At the time in their 50s, but still, older people.
Older people.
Right.
And at that time, like you talked in your past about having to get your dress and shirt and tie and go to dinner.
Right. Yeah.
On certain days.
Yep. Saturday nights.
And you know, a lot of people didn't do that necessarily, but you were kind of raised in that world with your grandparents.
Yeah.
So you watch. That makes sense that you would watch news like that.
And then at night they always watched RGB out of Schenectady.
Yeah.
With Mary Beth Wenger, and
it was like Channel 6 was different than 2. 2 was CBS,
and 6 was the local.
RGB, yeah.
Yep. So it was news every night with them. So it was something that was a regular occurrence for me. So
it's weird. I would never pick that. My number 4 is kind of an era, the 2016 election cycle through COVID.
I have the 2016 election higher up on my list. Actually, it's not. It's not higher up. It's next on the list.
Okay, so we might as well talk about it now. The things that I've seen in the country during that time frame,
right?
And I guarantee you, we both have something much higher on our list that supersedes this.
Yes.
So, I couldn't believe like that people came to that level. I almost feel like society sank.
They did
to a terrible level.
They did.
It went from we're Gen Xers,
absolutely,
and we don't give a fuck.
Not really.
We really don't. Like when we were growing up, if you were straight or gay or black or white or Asian or whatever, it didn't matter to anybody.
Right.
No one gave a shit. Listen to the music from the 90s, and that's why it's sustainable today.
Right.
Because you had all these record labels that were their own thing. Like 9 Inch Nails was on the same thing as Death Row. You know what I mean? Like they were all part of the Interscope Records, the whole deal.
Yep.
When you think about it, that was true harmony. Everybody was just doing their thing, and it wasn't like it mattered if you were a white guy that listened to Dre and Snoop.
Right.
They didn't care. Everybody listened to everything.
Yep.
And you had all these collaborations between rock and rap and all this.
Public Enemy and Anthrax.
Right.
Run DMC and Aerosmith.
Right.
Yeah.
But and I know we went sideways with that, but the idea was no one cared. And then all of a sudden they hated a person so bad.
Right.
That people lost their fucking minds.
Well, and how dare you hate their person?
Right. Like, someone's a lifelong political criminal, and they... I think people lost their mind thinking, like, we're going to have the first female president, and they didn't care all the laundry list of shit that was wrong with that person.
Right.
But because they just didn't like that somebody else was a billionaire. You know what I mean? Like...
And didn't give a shit.
And didn't give a shit. Right? And it was the opposite. One had their hand in your pocket, but you just liked them. And the other one was actually trying to give you money back in your pocket, and you just hated them.
Right.
And then you went to so many lengths to fucking do everything you could to make sure he never... And it's still continuing today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
With his recent indictment. And I'm not saying that I'm a Trumper versus a... What I'm saying is that whole time... If you just sat back and watched, people lost their fucking minds.
Yeah.
And you're like, how do you recover from this?
Right.
And I don't think we necessarily recovered from this.
No, I think it took everything in a whole different direction that we never come back from.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of these things where you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Well, are you kidding me? Like somebody you were friends with for 30 years, if you just didn't vote the way they did, all of a sudden, they don't even want to fucking talk to you.
Yeah.
Like relationships stopped. People stopped going to family Thanksgiving dinners.
All over that.
All over a simple fucking thing.
Yeah, that's true. It's 100% true.
So I don't know what your version of that or vision or...
No, it was Trump winning the election. I mean, there was never so much hate and discontent over not wanting a man to win. And then he won.
Mine goes a little deeper than just him winning an election. Mine is... They took over a fucking big portion of Seattle, and nobody did anything about it. Why?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you had these people that were like fighting. They took over like government buildings in Seattle, and they didn't go in and just fucking be like, you're terrorist, and then
Right.
take them away. But then you had guys. I don't understand like the concept. You hear nothing about all that shit that then people took over. It was in Oregon too.
Okay.
Remember they did
Right.
Oregon, Seattle. They were taking over like
very northwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously. And you hear nothing. Nobody did jail time. Somebody walked through, like the security guard gets out of the way at the Capitol. Somebody walks through and they're doing like 15 years in prison.
Yeah.
It's just, people lost their mind. Like, you would have never, you might have had some arguments with the cops and shit in the 90s and this and that. Or, you had the LA riots. I get it. But if they would have taken over a fucking city block for weeks on end,
right,
the army would have came in there and mopped that up.
Absolutely.
And now they're like, no.
Can't do it.
Let them do it.
Can't do it.
And it's kind of the point. We've gotten in a society where if your kid goes and puts their hand on the electrical outlet and they're going to hurt themselves, you kind of smack it and you tell them, no.
Right.
And now you don't even smack it. You're like, fuck it.
Here's a fork. Stick
Here,
that in there.
Burn the house down. It doesn't matter. If you constantly say, if you step over that line, we're going to do something, and you never do anything, now you're just like, fuck it, the line's gone.
There's no line.
And the line's gone now.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel
not even
happened
blurred.
in that time
not
frame.
Not even blurred.
Right.
The line is gone.
Right.
Yep, I agree.
So was that your 3?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's my 3.
Okay. My number 3 just happened just very recently. It was a Pride awareness event at the White House. And when you think you can't get any fucking worse than what is going on in society, what we talked about up to COVID and all this, you hold an event to celebrate Pride Month, to say, hey, we're all in this together. If you're gay, straight, whatever, we're welcoming you. Here you go. You have an event. And this transgender Rose Montoya flashes her tits on the White House lawn. Where's the respect for the office of that? What the fuck is going on in this world?
Even if you don't care for your current president, he's still the leader of your country.
Right.
Respect the office.
Right. I don't care. You're doing whatever you're doing.
Right.
But in what world is that right? Like, you're on the grounds of the most coveted spot in the world. And it should be the most protected spot. And you're out there being an absolute asshole and flashing your chest for what? Personal gain is the only way it can possibly be.
15 seconds of fame?
And in the meantime, you made a mockery of your entire country and
in your event.
So you got people that stood up and fought their ass off to be recognized and dealt with real shit. And here you are, some 20-something-year-old or whatever. I don't even want to give her any more credit than she. Whatever. And you completely shit all over these people that legitimately worked hard to have this moment.
Right.
Whatever it is. And that's just the thing. One asshole spoils the bunch.
Yep. It definitely cast a bad light on the bunch unfairly.
Correct.
Because of one person.
Correct.
Yep.
So here you are. You're supposed to have this moment. Your coming out party, so to speak.
Right.
Everybody's in joy. Here we go. We got brought to the White House. And then you do this.
It's all inclusive.
Right.
Meaning everybody's included.
Right.
No
And then you go and you're flashing your tits on the White House lawn.
Right.
That's fucking great. I mean, just when you think humanity can't fucking get any lower, you're just like, here we go. Here it is. Here it is.
Yep.
How much more before,
I hear you.
That was my 3.
My 2 was actually a tie. 2 days, 6/21/96 and 9/30/02. The births of my boys. Being a dad 2 times.
I guarantee we have our 1 and 2 flipped.
9/11's my one.
9/11's my 2.
Right.
Because my kids is my number
Right.
one thing that changed my entire world.
I left 9/11 1 because it did affect one of my. It affected Chris. He was around for it. He was in school.
Right.
So I wanted him to be inclusive of that. But yeah, what trumps the birth of your children? Nothing.
Nothing. So that's what was my
Right.
one. That changed my world. Everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Almost every decision you make after that
Right.
becomes how do you help them have a better world.
Right. And 9/11 changed all of our worlds.
Yeah, 100%.
Our kids, the kids we didn't even have yet,
Yep.
in your case, or mine.
I had 2 out of the 3.
I had one out
One
of
of
the
the
2.
2. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Christopher saw the world a little bit pre 9/11 and was in school when it happened. And Christina had to go and get him from school and bring him home and live through that hysteria and paranoia and everything that came of it. The only good that came of it was that, and again, looking back in a moment in time, so brief was that period of patriotism that went along with 9/11.
We were right. And it blows my mind how in 2001 we were so united.
Right.
And then if you're going to sit here and you say within 20 years, because it was easily within 20 years,
Sure.
probably within 15 years, the American flag is fucking racist. You can't say the national anthem. I just can't imagine how the mentality
Right.
flipped
Right.
so terribly the other way.
Yeah.
Like from you're proud of where you come from. Every house has flaws. I don't care.
Absolutely.
Every house has flaws,
Right.
but you're not proud of your family. You're not proud where you come from. And then, I don't know if you remember
I
this.
remember going to the mall, randomly going to the mall and seeing a sea of American flags on those car
Yeah,
mounted flags.
and then the yellow ribbons
Right.
for all the guys that were going over to fight.
Yep.
And then like I said, and you go from that to what we were saying before.
Right.
And you would never say, oh my God, in a 15-year span. Because like in eras, if you watch through the history of time, it doesn't go in like 10-year little swirls.
Right.
It goes in like 30 to 40. In 15 years, in like half the time, it went from being, we are united and to, oh, we are terrible. Everything we do is terrible. And
Right.
I don't understand the mentality and the flip.
You're right. And I don't know. Maybe it's the way I categorize it, but like to me, like post World War II up through like 79 is an era.
Right. And
80s and 90s are an era.
And right, if you go post World War II, Pride, and then the Vietnam was the end of that era.
Right.
And that was hate our country.
Right.
And I get it, but you're also looking at about a 30-year window.
Right.
We flipped the fucking window in half the time.
Half the time. So.
This did cross my mind the other day.
What's that?
When we get the first Gen X president.
Hey.
I'm saying, when you get a Gen Xer as a president, you better look out. But you know what I mean? Like, that's the mentality's different. Like, and it is. Baby boomers were different.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you get the Gen Xers and then the Gen Zs and the millennials. Everybody, they're all different. But when you had that first Gen X president, it's basically going to be like fucking, I don't know, dude. Like Flea from fucking Chili Peppers out there. You know what I mean? You know it's going to be something cool.
Yeah.
Guy could play like alternative rock music and it'd be like Kid Rock.
Listen, look at Reagan.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the epitome of cool. Hollywood actor.
Right.
Governor of California. To President of the United States. And one of the most, at least in our lifetime, probably the most revered.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
And sometimes you got to look back on it and say, you look back and it's way better than when it was in the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that was a good top 5.
Yeah,
man.
it's a thought-provoking one for sure.
Yeah.
So.
It's like what moments changed your view of the world.
Yeah.
And, like my dad passing away changed mine, obviously.
Obviously.
Here's a weird one.
I thought of Pop passing and I thought he changed mine.
Here's a weird one. Almost made my list. Derek Jeter retiring.
Yeah.
Because it was our entire youth.
Right.
And it kind of put you in this thing like our youth's over. Our guy is no longer our guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now it's somebody else's guy.
Yeah.
Because we were teenagers when he was a teenager. ran his whole career and he retired. And I'm like, man, that almost made my fucking.
Yeah.
No. Football, the window's much smaller.
Right.
But I mean, we saw Brady.
Right.
And now he's gone. So
I
mean, we're like that for sports world. We're like we're out to pasture.
Yeah, I would say for ours, Jeter and Griffey, because Griffey never got tarnished with any of that steroid stuff. Are probably the two biggest ones that came out of that.
Fuck Griffey.
Unscathed. I know he hates New York.
I hate Griffey. I never liked the guy.
I was a fan. I loved his swing. He was a great ball player.
I'm not saying I was never a fan of Griffey.
Yeah.
I would take Bernie Williams.
Bernie was awesome too.
No, I'm not saying that Griffey was a much better ball player. I'm just saying.
I hear you.
But yeah, Jeter was being a Yankee fan, growing up in New York, that whole time, and then he hits that walk-off single in Yankee Stadium like only he could
to end his career.
And it's like, dude, that was a moment. That was a moment. Not that how to change my view of the world. It did in the aspect of like, that let me know our time's over.
Yeah.
Our time as like the Yankee, the holders, the dynasty holders.
Yeah.
Our time's over.
Yeah.
Now it's like my son's time and your son's.
Right.
It's their time for their like Volpe or somebody to come up and them ride them guys.
Or maybe Judge.
Right. Or yeah.
Somebody of that level.
Yeah, win one first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah.
We were at the last parade.
And we sure were.
Damn, it has been a while. 09.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. All right, ready to move in?
Yeah.
All right. All right. 5 crazy questions sponsored by Scalable Computers this week via Winnie.
Yes, sir. Number 1, if you could live in any video game world, what would it be?
Oh, man. Grand Theft Auto would be like living now.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some really cool ones out there that are like futuristic and beautiful. But just give me Red Dead Redemption.
The Old West?
Yeah, fuck it, man. You don't like somebody, you shoot them.
There
fuck
you go.
it.
All right.
You go down to the thing, you pay $10 and you're going.
You go brush your horse and you're on you.
Yo, bro, but you go shoot somebody. You can pay off $10 and you get away with murder.
That's hysterical.
You just pay the fine.
Richie Wright was saying how he would go and specifically feed and pet his horse to keep the horse happy in the game. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, when my horse died in that game, I went and fucked up that whole village. Boston did it too.
That's awesome.
These like hillbillies, like this inbred group, blew up Boston's horse with TNT. He went back and destroyed he killed everybody, like Anakin Skywalker.
That was like Anakin killed all the freaking people on Tatooine.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, number 2. If you could have any TV or movie ride as your mode of transportation, what would it be?
Oh, the DeLorean.
Okay.
Fucking, that thing is cool as shit.
It is. I was thinking the sand speeder from Tatooine. The little hovercraft is cool as shit.
It would suck in the rain.
It might suck in the rain. And the speeder bikes would be cool too.
The fucking DeLorean. Well, no, as long as you had it, you could have any version. The flying one, the ground one, whatever.
That's true. Number 3. If you could only hang on to one memory in your entire life, your mind was going to go blank, but they would let you keep one memory. What would the memory be?
One memory in my entire life?
Right.
It would have to be some version of all my family together on Christmas or something when my dad was still alive, when everybody was there.
Right.
All my kids were born. And it would have to be something like that.
Yeah.
It 100%. I can kind of remember one. It was probably like Boston or Journey. It was probably one of their birthdays. In like 2 years before my dad passed away.
Yeah.
But everybody was there. Purple Rain 81 too.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's a good memory.
All right. Number 4. Would you rather have Trump's hair forever or Gary Busey's teeth?
Gary Busey's teeth are decent looking,
They're
though.
huge.
You look like John Elway, and I kind of already have fucking Trump's hair. I'm going thin here, so I guess I'm stuck with. I'm sticking with Trump's hair forever right now.
All right. And number 5, do life in prison or be let free if you let Patrick Ewing bang it from behind.
Come on, Patrick. I cannot live. Fuck that. Whatever Patrick Ewing's got to do, just do, because I want to be free.
I heard a story this week, and I don't know how true it is, and that's why I picked Patrick Ewing, was that his little Pat was quite large, to where he actually had to athletic tape it in.
He had to tape it, like fold it over and taper down.
Yeah, taper down so it wouldn't come out of the trunks during baseball games.
Well, in them days, they were
the short
they had
shorts.
like the 4-inch shorts. Yeah.
Yeah, before they went to the knee length.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, isn't there a basketball card of Rodman?
It's
his rod hanging out.
It looks like it because it's a shadow casting through the net. It looks like his hammer's hanging, but it's not. But that card, when that was a rumor, that card was selling for like $20, $30, and it was a $1 card.
Oh shit, that's funny.
So top 5.
Not a bad 5 crazy. All right, let's get into Highland's favorite song. We have done before. Over and under this week. Number 1, a good haircut.
Oh, fuck you.
No, you used to get them.
Yes, very underrated.
Underrated.
Yeah. Because a bad one.
A few people can cut your hair decent, but a really good haircut makes a big difference.
And a bad one is a 4-week project to grow it out.
Yeah, because you can't even go and just get it fixed unless you just...
rocking a hat everywhere.
Yeah.
But no, definitely underrated.
Underrated, I agree. Number 2, the Hudson Valley in general, like where you live. After you just saw Memphis, it makes you appreciate home a little bit more, right?
Puts it in perspective. And again, because we live here, I think we don't appreciate it enough because we're always looking to go elsewhere, but underrated.
Underrated, I agree.
A little bit of everything.
Like the mountains, the river, the lakes.
Yep.
You get a little bit of everything.
Yep.
You really do. And pretty mild weather comparatively.
Yeah, especially the last couple of years, for sure.
Number 3, Twizzlers.
Underrated. Super, super awesome on airplanes. They are my go-to for takeoff and landing.
Yeah?
Yeah, because you got to chew the hell out of them, and it helps with the ears popping.
Yeah. No, I love some Twizzlers.
Yep.
All right, number 4, comfortable shoes.
Way underrated.
Way underrated. The bigger you get, the more comfort you need.
Yeah, I got this. Well, that's funny. I got this sweet pair of New Balance to go to Memphis with. I had like a heel stack of padding as big as the Hokas.
Yeah.
And they kicked ass. They were
good. And you didn't have any problems?
Not a one.
All right.
Nope, they were great.
All right, excuse me. All these extra hours we've been working.
I know.
We did it together yesterday.
We absolutely did.
Number 5, a nice picture of either you or you and your family, or your family.
Super underrated because it's very rare to get
somebody not blinking or something.
Everybody taking a good picture at the same time.
And I was wondering, because you're kind of a techie. I mean, like, I want one like in my hands, not on a cat.
Right.
And I mean picture. I mean like an actual photograph. Like you can hold. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, because it's so rare to get a really nice photo.
Yeah. That
you can like use.
That one that you want to actually print out and put in a frame.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Highly underrated, I believe.
Very much so.
All right. We're done. I only do 5. I don't do 7 like you do.
All right.
You got a segment. We have no music for it, though.
Cap, no cap.
There we go.
Music. Cap, no cap. Number 1. Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman have outlasted their welcome.
I'm going to say cap because not both. I think Boone is okay. He's stuck with a team that Cashman puts together. You manage the team you're given. I don't necessarily think he is a metrics guy.
Right. My only knock on him is I don't really care for the way he manages his pitchers. But, again, you're managing what you have.
Yeah, and they don't really give him good pitching stuff. Well, they went out and got Rodon, and the fucking guy hasn't thrown a pitch yet.
Not one.
Not one.
Not one.
And we're in June.
Right.
We're almost to the All-Star break, and the asshole, they signed him for a lot of money, hasn't pitched yet.
Yeah, and they're still 10 or 11 over.
Yeah.
So, all right. Okay. Number 2, having a bucket list is important.
No cap.
No cap.
No cap. You should have it. You should always have something you're chasing, and you should always have something you're looking forward to.
Agreed. Number 3. Modern day society is too much about instant gratification.
No cap. That is 100% true. It's all about now, me now. Um, I don't think there's enough thought into the ramifications of a lot of things that go on now.
If you can get everything immediately as you want it, it takes away the whole
Something I referred to earlier,
working for it.
the person on the White House lawn.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get whatever right now.
Right.
10 years from now, when you can't get a fucking job.
Yep, because you're the schmuck that did that on the White House lawn.
Right.
Right.
But the instant gratification of, I got 1.5 million likes today.
Yeah. Yep. Number 4, long weekend vacations are overrated.
Cap.
Super cap, because I just proved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just proved it. Dude, any additional time away from your grind should be good time.
Should be.
Should be.
And that could have been an overrated, underrated, highly underrated. They are, you need them.
You do. Yeah,
you need them, yeah.
And number 5, sometimes less is more.
No cap.
It's true.
Cap. It is true. Sometimes less is more. Like, you were down there for a quick spell, but you absorbed it all, where if you were there a couple days, it might have just kind of flattened out where you weren't as heightened, like, hey.
Right. It dulls the senses.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. All right, there's cap, no cap.
Yeah. Did you, we don't have to go into music did anything on your rabbit hole this week?
Rabbit hole was...
I know you traveled a lot, so...
Well, yeah, there wasn't much there. A lot of it, the last couple days beforehand, were a lot of kind of like what not to do's while traveling. Most of it...
Don't get shot in Memphis.
Right. Most of it rang pretty true. But I want to say thank you to the 4 awesome, absolutely great Lyft drivers and Uber drivers we did have. Super nice people. Very informative, very, very, very nice people.
Do I have a bone to pick with you or not? Did you tell them that it wasn't just the Elvis one, that you had the Blitz too?
Oh, we told, yeah, because most of all my reviews that we did were for the Blitz.
Oh, right.
Every review.
Yeah, but I mean, did you tell the Uber drivers or whoever down there?
No, I gotta say it didn't really. It was kind of absorbed. I'm sorry.
Dickhead.
I'm sorry.
That's whatever. They're not up yet because we still trying to figure out that washout.
Right. I got to get next week when we get Jimmy in studio, we will look at his phone and see if there's some settings that we can screw with to get him.
Because they're washed out, bro.
They are. But on his phone, they're vibrant as day.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll try to figure that out.
Cool. This week I watched a little bit of the Senate Judiciary Committee going after the FBI. They're like, how is this not certain things like the bribes to a president, and you know that they got all this information? How is this not a priority? Right. And how are you not looking at it? But it's if you're an American, you always see the scale and the lady with the blindfold on, that justice is supposed to be equal.
Yep.
It's clearly not. It's clearly not, and it's a lot of stuff. Ted Cruz really went after the FBI. And the guy got douchey, and he's like, you're stonewalling me. He's like, no, I'm answering your question. He goes, well, when you show us the 17 tapes, nope, then you're stonewalling us. Why? This is very important to find out if our president's on the take. And I get it. It's a thing, this versus that guy, but it's on the thing. So I watched a little bit of that. Here's one for you. Do you know who Robert Kennedy is?
The Robert Kennedy?
Robert Kennedy Jr., the guy that's talking he's going to run as the Democratic.
No. Is it?
He's the son. I think
of Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe. I don't know if he could. I think he is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's RFK Jr. Yeah. So yeah. Well, he's being canceled, like YouTube and all this. So once he decided to run here, he's going to run. He doesn't care about the primary. He wants to run.
Sure.
And the guy has a lot of good things to say. His voice is really fucking shaky. Kind of gets me. It
How old
sounds
is he?
almost like Bobcat Goldthwait a little bit. But somebody told me recently, and we'd have to look it up, and I don't know, that they think his voice started getting shaky from after he took the COVID vaccine.
Really?
But anyway, he's been very outspoken against COVID and all these things. But he went on like the Nelk Boys and some of these other big podcasts. They took him down. YouTube took him down.
Goodbye.
Censorship is very much alive in the world today.
Selective censorship.
Selective censorship. Yep.
If it's the message
So
they don't want you to hear,
definitely take some looks at Bobby Kennedy and some of the
Yep.
things he says. He's like a true Democrat.
Yeah.
You know, not this new whatever the fuck version, but he's very his thoughts are very concise and specific and very clear, and he has a lot of good things to say. I watched some baseball, just like educational things.
Yeah.
Like if you hold the bat like this and you do it like that, just little tricks. That was pretty cool. And then a lot of fail videos.
Yeah.
You know.
They're always fun.
Yeah. Did you see the one with the fucking heavyset dude that was going to go? He jumps over a guardrail and he's going to like do a forward roll or something onto like a concrete thing with grass. He's like jumping over a median.
Oh.
Well, he goes and his fucking head just gets straight into the concrete.
Oh.
And he rolls and you're like, oh my God.
Poor bastard.
And then on a completely different but same version, you know when the guy goes boom and you hear the whole shadamana?
Yeah.
I hit poor Kevin Herberski so hard in the nuts yesterday with an empty bottle of water, and it made that gong sound, and he was fucked up for about a half an hour. And I didn't mean to do it. Like, I was walking by him, and I meant to hit him like in the stomach and say good morning. Well, he must have yawned or something, and just my arm went out further than I thought it was gonna, and it literally, like, I felt him lift him. He was like, huh! G-Mac, what the fuck? Oh my God, dude. I felt bad, but I couldn't stop laughing. And I think I was still laughing when you got to where we were.
There was a good fail video. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Guys doing like backflips.
Yeah.
Real close to the street. And he finishes the last backflip in the street and gets rocked by a fucking car.
Yeah. His head ends up between the tire and the on the bumper. That was
good.
brutal.
Not good.
And then yeah. No, I won't go into that one. That one was a little too dark.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, good show. You're back. We're back. We're ready to roll. I'm not back for long, so we're gonna have to put a bunch of these out real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
In rapid succession. But yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to like kind of get all this stuff moving.
Yep.
And the back half of 2023 should pick up.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, last week we had a killer week.
Yeah. Big
numbers last week. And I think the more real and the less protective we are of our feelings, the better it comes out.
It goes. Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. I've talked it all. You take us home.
All right. For GMAC, this is Winnie. This has been the Outlaw Blitz podcast. And as always,